Well, that was a strong start to the week, only to then proceed to completely collapse towards the end. Oh, a 9-5-1 record will suffice. That still puts me over 500 for now. I think I actually am back to being over 500. But 94 points ain't bad. Let's see what the rest of the week has in store. Once again, we only have two teams on bye this week. The Bills, despite coming off a loss, are really needing this. So are the Ravens. This is a good time for both teams to start recovering injured players. Maybe this means that they can actually get back on track.
Bring out your dead!
We've had our first sputtering, folks. And to no one's surprise, actually, it's somewhat surprising since they pulled the trigger this early. But it's still not surprising anyways. Brian Callahan was not fit to be a head coach and should not have been hired to be a head coach in the first place. All the dude knew how to do was just find more ways to lose. It's a joke franchise that hired a joke coach. They really miss Vrabel now, huh? I wouldn't be surprised if there was a power struggle to go with. And you're going to be dealing with Mike McCoy as the interim. Oh boy, going from one joke to another joke, this one being from the final years in San Diego. You better hope you actually manage to finish the season before things go to crap yet again. Have fun. Now we can get into the actual predictions, starting with the Steelers and the Bengals on Thursday Night Football. Who knew that Joe Burrow was the main QB that was overseeing this team? Wouldn't be surprised if this also means that this is what gets Zach Taylor fired before the end of the year. So they'll probably let him play out anyway. It's gonna be so Bengals and so Steelers at the same time. It's gonna be close, ugly. It's Thursday Night Football. Do you expect anything else to come from this? No? I guess the Steelers will somehow manage to maintain their relevance. Somehow. Welcome to London. A city where all they get to know about is Wembley Stadium and the Jaguars. Nothing else at all. Nope, certainly not anything else set to go on. Who are they up against? The Rams? Well, they're going to be missing Puka for a bit. So hopefully that doesn't hurt them in the long run. So now we get ourselves a battle of who even wants to win a game. Nobody's looking like an actual contender right now. So who's gonna end up with the crown anyway? Well, there's already been some crowns and crowns. Probably gonna be not that much of a banger, if you can even call it one. And this is probably gonna be one of those kinds of times where this ends up being the Jaguars' bread and butter. And because of that, I can see the Jags being a win. If anything could even come out right, that is. Well, congratulations, Raiders. You managed to get past the bye week. Now you get to face off against the Kansas City Chiefs. Better yet for the Chiefs, they actually get Rasheed Rice back in hopes that he can actually still play at full strength. What they do? Hey, Raiders! It's definitely gonna Raider in this one through so much boredom that you'd think that they were playing against the Sleepyheads. And for Eagles Vikings, you seriously expect me to pick a winner for this one? If so, you are joking. An absolute jokester. Nobody he is looking too hot. I'm sure JJ is going to be back. But yes, Eagles coming off of a mini bye, while the Vikings are actually coming back from a bye week themselves. Nothing's gonna make sense for this game, and it's gonna end in a tie because why not? And so we get the bonus edition of having the coin say 4 versus 3 in favor of Vikings. Means, hey, somebody has to be able to predict this game, and it just so happens to be the lovely coin. It's gonna be so Vikings if they end up losing this game, and it's gonna be so Eagles if they end up losing this game because Nick Sirianni is still the head coach. Do you expect anything good from him? No. Winning a Super Bowl does not make him a good coach. You mean that the Bears can actually win games now? So what's next? They're gonna try to actually win back to back? Let's see who they get to do it against. My golly, it's gonna be against the Saints. Never thought I picked the Bears to win anything, but the Saints have not looked that good. Though I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints do win this game, because it's the Bears. You want to talk about tank bowls? Here's yourself a tank bowl that could have been seen coming ever since the first game was played. Dolphins, Browns, and a battle of who wants to get their coach fired first. Well, that answer was actually Brian Callahan, but not between these two. It's gonna be between these two on who's gonna get their head coach fired soon. Will it be Mike McDaniels getting his head chopped off with a stick? Or is it gonna be the Browns for getting impatient with the culture going on and decide that Kevin Stefanski is not doing anything? By the way, isn't Deshaun Watson not even playing right now? They're paying all that money for him to sit on the bench. No way. Even worse. Just spend money to not have him show up. So, what does this mean for anybody? Well, I can actually see this one actually ending in a tie, but in the end, somebody's gonna end up crapping the bed more than the other. And the Browns are gonna end up with the third blossom of a win. I think. They can surely do this, right? Oh, happy Jets. You finally get your first potentially winnable game of the season. Unfortunately, it just so happens to be against a Panthers team that has managed to win 2 straight games. What does this mean? It means you have to play against NFC South football, which means your chances of winning are 50-50. So, I am actually going to take the Panthers in this one because the Jets will somehow find a way to still be the Jets. It's in their DNA, and it continues to be part of their issues. Maybe Matt Reigns can help the Titans with their interim head coach against the Patriots in a revenge game. Nope, that ain't happening this time. Mike Vrabel ends up getting his revenge game done. No surprises here. It's a bye week for most teams, unless you're the Cardinals. And this one, I think, could easily be a trap game for the Broncos. And the reason why I think this could be a trap game for them is that they're coming straight back to Denver from London, so there's going to be a good bit of jet lag to get over. And the Giants have been, well, you know the history of how the Giants tend to be. And in terms of how they tended to be, I think this could be a sneaky one. Not that the Giants are good, but that the Broncos are coming back from London on such short notice and playing a home game right away. They were going to do this, it should have been a road game, but the fact that there could still be some jet lag involved is probably what's going to doom the Broncos in a event that kind of leads to a Giants win. Yeah, yeah, that could actually happen there. And now we get an actually potentially good game in the form of Colts Chargers in a battle of the AFC. Chargers managed to barely win, in a close one when they could have lost multiple times over. Multiple times over. But a win's a win, and now they gotta face off against the Colts, who have been surprisingly good, and it's gonna be hard to pick which one is actually gonna come out on top. Colts will eventually have to lose another game at some point. Maybe. And I think it's gonna end in maybe the Colts pulling this one off. Maybe. It's very tentative, though. Daniel Jones can revert back to Daniel Jones at a moment's notice. And the Chargers can still end up being, well, the Chargers. I can't exactly trust either team right now. But what is trustworthy is the fact that the Cowboys are hosting the Commanders. Surely this means Cowboys win at home, right? Well, not so fast because they're actually coming off an embarrassing game against the Panthers, so they gotta face the Commanders in more embarrassing fashion. Maybe the Commanders can actually improve because they're looking to bounce back. And I think that the bounce back is going to lead to a Commanders win here. I really do trust the Commanders more than the Cowboys. And now we get the Packers and the Cardinals. Oh, yes. I remember the last time the Packers had a tie going up against the Cardinals. They lost and fired their head coach. But this is a different Packers team. They'll be able to actually get. Yeah, even the boredom is setting in for how predictable this week feels. Yet, in terms of how it feels, it's probably going to come down to the Packers having the same old feelings like always. Welcome to Sunday Night Football, a showcase of the Falcons yet again. But who is their opponent this time? An injury-riddled 49ers squad that has somehow managed to win games. Hey, hey. Definitely gonna invoke a lot of yawns like that. And so, we get ourselves more boring football. It's just gonna end up being boredom. Falcons, back to being the Falcons. And the 49ers managing to win because they did absolutely nothing. Nobody said you actually had to do anything to win games. Just as long as the other opponent completely falls apart at the worst possible time. Because why not? Falcons still have yet to recover. Boring. Can be boring. Hooray. We're seriously doing another Monday night doubleheader? Well, maybe they can actually put together. Well, Bucks, you have come across the unfortunate fate that nobody wants to deal with. And that fate is having to face off against the Lions coming off a loss. Which means that the Lions are going to be clawing their way into a bounce back. And they end up suffering their second loss of the season. That's what happens when you try to be the unfortunate soul that ends up having to face off against a Lions team that is looking to bounce back. It's all part of how they operate. And we end things up with the Texans and the Seahawks. There's been a recurring theme with the Seahawks in that the fact that they haven't been doing as well as they should at home of all places. Yet they seem to do a little bit better on the road. But the Texans need to win this one in the hopes of reclaiming any potential chances to actually take the AFC South. But it's gonna get so boring yet again. and it's gonna end in a Seahawks win because for whatever reason, the Texans will remain to be the Texans. Good job, boys. You managed to ruin things for yourselves yet again. And those are my official predictions for the 7th week of the season. I wonder how this will fare. Maybe it'll fare better than trying to find some sort of random video to watch. Or maybe any of these teams can manage to pull off a win better than Brian Callahan can. Heard that his father went out packing too. Surely being up on Mike McCoy will sure help things a little bit. Or maybe I need to imitate the eternal gap that's going on between the most recent Radiohead album and whatever they're doing right now. And probably make sure to keep my views intact, unlike York. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and until next time, travel safely.